Julia Roberts' life's been a bit of a roller coaster. From red carpet premieres to intense movie scenes and unplanned sparks flying with her co-stars. Her bond with George Clooney has had its fair share of headlines but somehow survived all the gossip. Now, with both of them in the spotlight, Julia's opening up more than ever. She says it's important to be real and lead with honesty. So, what's the deal with her hubby's decades-long friendship with Julia? And how does she feel about Hollywood constantly whispering about her man getting close to another woman? Well, here's where Clooney finally spills the beans on what we all suspected about their connection. Let's rewind to 2000, when Julia and George first met on the set of Ocean's 11. Back then, no one could have predicted that their friendship would last longer than most Hollywood marriages. Their first meeting wasn't just a typical, "Hey, nice to meet you" moment. It kicked off one of the longest-lasting, purely platonic relationships in Tinseltown. Clooney says they clicked straight away, just having fun and bonding over how they worked. Both were already big names. Julia had just bagged an Oscar for Erin Brockovich, while George was moving on from his ER fame to take over the big screen. What made their friendship stand out from the rest was that they managed to keep things real, outside of all the glitz and glamour. Unlike many Hollywood friendships that only exist on movie sets and red carpets, Julia and George built something much deeper. When Julia was pregnant with twins in 2004, Clooney stepped up in a way that surprised everyone. Instead of his usual pranks, he checked in on her, made sure she was okay when she looked a bit tired, and even kept her hydrated on set. Over the years, they worked together more, with Ocean's 12 in 2004 and Money Monster in 2016. But it was the time they spent away from the cameras that really brought them closer. George even remembers the silly things they do together, like making bird noises and grabbing coffee. When Julia was pregnant for the first time, she found comfort in Clooney's famous villa by Lake Como in Italy. Later, she brought her kids there too, filling the place with the happy chaos of family life. Their friendship has only grown stronger, mainly because they share similar values: success at work but never letting it take over their personal lives. They've been there for each other through life's biggest moments. Julia's marriage to Danny and George's time as Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, followed by his shift to family life, has always been an interesting journey. What really stands out is how the two handled all the romance rumors that followed them. Instead of letting gossip get in the way of their friendship, they just laughed it off. Clooney has always said that Julia was either in a relationship or he was, and that they just hit it off as friends from the start. For them, it was all about fun. As Julia once put it, it's such a relief that they're not just Hollywood friends. That simple statement really sums up their bond: genuine, lasting, and real in an industry that often feels so shallow. Those early years set the stage for what would become an even more surprising chapter in their lives when a certain human rights lawyer came into the picture. Just when everyone thought they had Julia and George's friendship all figured out, Amal Clooney came along. Amal, a brilliant human rights lawyer, didn't just challenge the perception of their bond, she changed everything. But what happened next shocked everyone. When George met Amal in 2013, Julia was one of the first people he called. After all the high-profile relationships Julia had seen George through, she knew this one was different. She told Ellen DeGeneres it was wonderful, even before meeting Amal. "Have you met her?" Ellen asked. "No, but she seems lovely. She's beautiful and smart, and George is happy. That's what matters to me," Julia said. George didn't leave the first meeting between Julia and Amal to chance. He planned a dinner to introduce the two most important women in his life. What could have been an awkward evening, especially with all the tabloid gossip surrounding Julia and George, turned into the start of a truly special friendship. What made their bond even more remarkable was how natural it all felt. While many Hollywood wives might be suspicious of their husband's female co-stars, Amal welcomed Julia with open arms. Amal, known for defending Julian Assange and advising Kofi Annan, found a kindred spirit in Julia who also valued authenticity over the usual Hollywood glitz. Their friendship grew even stronger when George and Amal had twins, Ella and Alexander, in 2017. Julia, already a mother of three, became Auntie Ju-gu to the twins. The nickname stuck, symbolizing the tight-knit family bond they had formed, especially while filming Ticket to Paradise in 2022. The Clooney twins would visit the set and run straight to hug their Auntie Jugu between takes. The true test of their friendship came during the intimate scenes between Julia and George in Ticket to Paradise. Amal watched the famous kissing scene with amusement, fully understanding that it was all part of their work. She felt secure in her relationship, knowing that what mattered most was their connection away from the cameras. The Clooneys, Roberts with her husband Danny and their kids, and Amal's international circle of friends formed a close-knit, supportive community. Julia and George have always been more than just co-stars. They've become a tight-knit family. They've spent holidays together, supported each other's causes, and created traditions that go beyond the usual Hollywood social scene. One example of their close friendship came in December 2022, when Julia made headlines by wearing a dress decorated with photos of George at the Kennedy Center Honors. It was a playful, heartfelt gesture that really showed how far their friendship had come. Amal, sitting in the audience, was seen laughing and applauding, a clear sign of how much they've all grown together both on and off screen. Speaking of on-screen moments, there's the infamous kiss scene from Ticket to Paradise. It took a surprising 80 takes to get it just right. But behind those 80 takes, the magic wasn't just in the scene itself, it was in the friendship. Julia joked it felt like kissing her best friend, and George, always the prankster, would remind her of his Sexiest Man Alive title. But even that couldn't keep them serious long enough to nail the scene. Out of those 80 takes, 79 ended in laughter. Their professional partnership spans 6 major films, each showing a new layer of their connection. From playing exes in Ocean's 11 to dealing with a crisis in Money Monster, their chemistry has always been undeniable. Even in the most tense moments, their bond makes everything feel real. What makes their on-screen partnership special is how they manage to stay professional while having so much fun. While filming Ticket to Paradise in Australia, COVID restrictions kept them away from their families for long stretches. But they had each other's backs through the tough times. Julia later admitted that George and his family helped her stay sane and avoid complete loneliness during those challenging months. Their dynamic on set has become legendary in Hollywood, with directors often setting aside extra time for scenes knowing that their infectious laughter might delay filming, but would ultimately create something special. This was especially true in Money Monster, where director Jodie Foster scheduled the toughest dialogue scenes early in the day to get them done before their playful banter took over. Their partnership works because they both take their work seriously, but never forget to have a laugh. Their combined box office success, over $5 billion worldwide, proves that audiences love their genuine chemistry. Unlike many Hollywood pairs who eventually get tired of working together, Julia Roberts and George Clooney actually go out of their way to find projects they can do together. Julia joked in a recent interview that George couldn't live without her on screen, and while she was poking fun, there's definitely some truth to her words. Their collaborations have only become more frequent over the years. Their latest film, Ticket to Paradise, really showcased how they've grown as on-screen partners. Playing divorced parents trying to stop their daughter's wedding, they brought years of friendship and understanding to their roles, delivering a performance that felt both fresh and familiar. Before the famous 80-take kisses and box office hits, Julia Roberts was just a small-town girl from Georgia with big dreams and an even bigger smile. But how did a waitress role change everything? In 1988, Julia, relatively unknown at the time, played Daisy Arujo, a lively waitress, in the small-town drama Mystic Pizza. The film, made on a modest $6 million budget, wasn't an instant hit, but it showcased something special, a new talent with a smile that would soon become one of Hollywood's most iconic. What many don't know is that Julia almost didn't get the part. She initially auditioned for the role of Daisy's sister, Kat, but director Donald Petrie saw something different in her. He saw a natural energy that perfectly matched Daisy's rebellious spirit, a decision that turned out to be key in launching her career. The next year, Julia starred in Steel Magnolias, alongside legends like Sally Field, Dolly Parton, and Shirley MacLaine. She played Shelby, a young bride with diabetes who desperately wanted to have a child, despite the health risks. Her performance earned her first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. And behind the scenes, she became close friends with Sally Field, who became a mentor to Julia during those early years. Then came 1990, the year Julia made her global breakout in Pretty Woman. Originally, the film was called 3000, reflecting the amount her character was paid for a week's companionship, and the script was much darker than the romantic comedy we know today. Julia pushed for a more empowering version of her character, Vivian Ward, making small but crucial changes that ultimately helped shift the film's tone to something more positive. The chemistry between Julia and Richard Gere wasn't instant. They had to do several screen tests before the director was convinced it was the right fit. But when it all came together, it was magic. Pretty Woman went on to make over $463 million worldwide, breaking romantic comedy records and earning Julia her first Oscar nomination for Best Actress. During some of the most important years of her career, Julia Roberts made some key decisions that would shape her future. She turned down leading roles in films like Sleepless in Seattle and While You Were Sleeping to avoid being boxed into romantic comedies. Even after Pretty Woman was such a huge hit, she carefully selected her next projects, focusing more on character development than on chasing the big paychecks. Behind the scenes, Roberts was figuring out how to handle her newfound fame. She developed her signature laugh and smile combo, which was partly a way to manage her nervous energy during interviews. This genuine, sometimes silly charm made her likable to both audiences and her fellow actors. By the end of 1990, Julia had accomplished something incredible. 3 successful films, 2 Oscar nominations, and she had become the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, all before turning 23. More importantly, she had proven that she was more than just a pretty face. She was a serious actress with real talent to back up her rising star power. At the peak of her fame, America's sweetheart earned an unexpected nickname, Tinker Hell, and it all went down on the set of Hook. What should have been a dream project turned into one of Hollywood's most talked-about feuds. In February 1991, Julia showed up on set to play Tinkerbell in Steven Spielberg's Hook, but the experience turned sour. The problem started long before filming even began. At just 23, Julia was still getting used to the pressure of sudden fame, while also preparing for her wedding to actor Kiefer Sutherland. The filming schedule had been adjusted to fit her wedding date on June 14th, but behind the scenes, her personal life was falling apart. Rumors were swirling about Kiefer's affair with a dancer, and Julia was struggling to juggle it all. The filming conditions only added to the tension. Unlike her previous roles, playing Tinkerbell required Julia to spend a lot of time alone in front of a green screen, without other actors to interact with. She had to rely entirely on Spielberg's direction, which was isolating and emotionally challenging. What many people didn't know is that the production itself was already facing several issues. Dustin Hoffman's method acting caused delays, and working with child actors meant limited filming hours. The budget skyrocketed from $48 million to $80 million, and the shooting schedule stretched from 76 days to 106. Amidst her personal struggles, Julia became the focal point of the production's problems, leading to the infamous nickname Tinker Hell circulating on set. But the real story behind the tension was much more complicated. Julia Roberts was dealing with the very public breakup of her relationship at just 23, a situation most young people would struggle with. Just 3 days before her wedding, she shocked the world by running away to Ireland with Jason Patric, who happened to be Kiefer Sutherland's friend. The whole thing made international headlines. Steven Spielberg, who was working with her on Hook at the time, addressed the situation during an interview on 60 Minutes. While he praised her acting, he called the timing of their collaboration unfortunate, and even said he would never work with her again. For Julia, hearing this public criticism from one of Hollywood's most powerful directors was tough. She later told Vanity Fair that when she saw Spielberg's comments, her eyes popped out of my head. She couldn't believe that someone she had trusted and known so well was now hesitant to defend her. Despite all the drama, Hook went on to earn $300 million worldwide. Though her role as Tinkerbell was overshadowed by the controversy, she still managed to bring some magical moments to the film. This experience taught her important lessons about handling personal crises while being in the spotlight and led her to become more protective of her private life. 30 years later, Roberts and Spielberg have never worked together again, even though both went on to win Oscars in the years following Hook. While the fallout from their feud was still unfolding, Julia's love life turned into a Hollywood soap opera with canceled weddings and surprise marriages. The 1990s weren't just about her career successes. They were also marked by a series of high-profile relationships that kept the tabloids busy. After the drama surrounding Hook, her personal life became the main focus of the media, shaping how she dealt with fame for years to come. Her relationship with Kiefer Sutherland seemed like a fairy tale. They first met while filming Flatliners in 1990, where their on-screen chemistry quickly turned into a real romance. The young stars even planned a lavish wedding at 20th Century Fox's Sound Stage 14, which was going to be decorated like a garden for 500 guests. But just 3 days before the wedding, Roberts made headlines once again when she ran off to Ireland with Jason Patric. This happened after she found out about Kiefer's alleged affair with a dancer at a local strip club. The media dubbed her the runaway bride. But behind all the headlines, she was just a 23-year-old making a difficult decision to leave a marriage that could have made her unhappy. Next came the unexpected marriage to country singer Lyle Lovett in 1993. They had only known each other for 3 weeks when they tied the knot in Marion, Indiana, another headline-making moment in her whirlwind love life. In 1993, Roberts took a brief break from filming The Pelican Brief to marry country singer Lyle Lovett at St. James Lutheran Church. The marriage, an unusual match by Hollywood standards, Hollywood's most beautiful woman and the uniquely featured country star, captured public attention. However, their marriage lasted only 21 months, ending amicably in March 1995. Between 1995 and 1998, Roberts had several high-profile relationships, including with Matthew Perry and Dylan McDermott, but her relationship with Benjamin Bratt seemed the most promising. They met in 1997 and for 4 years looked like the perfect couple. Bratt even joined Roberts at her Oscar win for Erin Brockovich in 2001, but just a few months later, they announced their breakup. During these years, Roberts learned the importance of keeping her private life out of the spotlight. She stopped discussing her relationships in interviews and became more selective about who she brought to public events. The intense media focus on her love life taught her to protect her privacy, and from this period of romantic ups and downs emerged a more cautious and wiser Roberts. She also made a conscious decision never to speak ill of her exes, maintaining friendships with several of them, and handling Hollywood relationships with more grace. These personal experiences had a significant impact on her acting choices, too. Roberts began picking roles that showcased stronger, more complex women, moving away from the romantic comedy characters that had originally made her famous. Films like My Best Friend's Wedding, 1997, where she portrayed a woman grappling with unrequited love, reflected her own growth as an actress. Although these relationships were sometimes difficult, they helped Roberts mature into the person who would eventually find lasting love. However, there was one final controversial romance that would shake up Hollywood. After a decade of public heartbreaks, Julia Roberts finally found love. But there was one significant complication. The man she fell for was already married. This romance brought about the infamous Vera t-shirt incident in 2001. On the set of The Mexican, Julia Roberts met cinematographer Danny Moder. At the time, Roberts was dating Benjamin Bratt, and Moder was married to makeup artist Vera Steinberg. Despite the timing, there was an undeniable connection between them. The story might have remained private, but it was the appearance of a handmade white t-shirt with "Lo Vera" written across the front that set the tabloids ablaze. Paparazzi caught photos of Roberts wearing the shirt in West Hollywood, and the images went viral, even before the age of social media. The t-shirt quickly became a symbol of the public's fascination with Roberts' love life, leading to even more media frenzy. The t-shirt incident in 2001 was a surprising and unexpected moment for Julia Roberts, known for her usually calm and controlled public demeanor. After nearly 2 years of waiting for Danny Moder's divorce to be finalized, her frustration with the situation reached a breaking point. Vera Steinberg, Moder's wife, was reportedly hesitant to grant the divorce, even though Moder had already moved out 6 months earlier after meeting Roberts. What many people didn't realize was that the t-shirt incident wasn't spontaneous. Roberts carefully chose a busy spot in West Hollywood, where paparazzi were likely to be, and wore the striking shirt with "Lo Vera" written across it. Paired with casual jeans and a simple black coat, she ensured that the message would be the focal point of any photos taken. The public reaction was swift and divided. Some saw it as a petty move from Hollywood's sweetheart, while others sympathized with her as a woman in love dealing with a situation beyond her control. Danny Motor's family, especially his sister Jill, openly criticized Roberts, calling her possessive and rude. When Oprah Winfrey later asked Roberts about the incident, she was candid. While the meaning of the shirt remained private, she stood by her decision to wear it. The T-shirt incident revealed a different side of Roberts, one willing to fight for her love, even if it meant risking her carefully cultivated public image. Despite the controversy, Steinberg eventually agreed to the divorce in June 2002, and just a month later, Roberts and Motor were married in a simple, intimate midnight ceremony at her ranch in New Mexico. The guest list was small, the ceremony was private, and there were no paparazzi photos. Looking back, the T-shirt incident marked a turning point in Roberts's life. It signified the end of her time as Hollywood's most eligible single woman and the beginning of her most lasting relationship. Though the incident was controversial, the result was clear. Roberts had found her true love. As for whether Julia Roberts truly found her forever or a substitute for a lost love, that's a question only she could answer. Her strong bond with Clooney, especially after years of working together, has often raised eyebrows. But their friendship has always seemed rooted in mutual respect and a sense of humor. It's possible that their close relationship adds a layer of complexity to Roberts's personal life, but it remains clear that her journey through love has been one of growth and resilience, finding balance between public scrutiny and private happiness.